What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 10 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Tyrion Immortal Empire's expanded campaign. So as we saw last time, also doesn't Nagaron look fantastic with the little mod, the OVN Lost World mod? I really like it. Anyway, I'm already getting distracted. Great start, Ruinous. Anyway, as we saw last time, we got our first battle against the Dark Elves under Malekith, and the Nagarothian Hag Grief fell before Hanormara. Somewhere, I'm sure, Malice is in the midst of getting an aneurysm about the loss of the Hag, with him not present. Otherwise, Tyrion completed his quest battle for Sunfang, and we have begun our various wars against the Orcs in Bretonnia, not with the intent, of course, of keeping all of Bretonnia, but there's a couple of good territories, i.e. Bordelot and Marienburg, which will further make our trading capabilities quite a bit stronger going down the line, so it'll be nice. Plus, we gotta train up Coriel and Alistair and get them their full armies, though I've been enjoying what they've got with the sort of troops that we managed to put together so far. Expect great things to come. Anyway, in terms of what we gotta do this particular turn, I don't know that there is anything in terms of... So we're besieging Lyonesse. I take it the enemy will sally out, but even if they don't, we'll wait until next turn to attack. I think perhaps we're ready to end the turn. Maybe there was something that I didn't do and then I forgot. I hope I'm not besieging something. I have a very bad tendency every campaign to besiege something and then promptly forget about it. But I think it's just that I ended the turn last time. Ooh, you... Alright, I had to make a quick cut because I decided I wanted this at the start of the episode. What do I mean by this? I'm trying to decide, or still trying to decide, between Retribution and Unity here for Tyrion, and I could go either way, Slaneshi giggle. So I'm going to do what I always do in these situations, run away, i.e. abdicate a responsibility. I mean, let you guys participate in the campaign. Yeah, that'll do it. Anyway, nailed it. What I'm getting at is we're going to hold a vote on this one, since it may very well change the direction of the campaign. Maybe drastically, maybe not so drastically. It's really hard to say. The link to the vote will be pinned in the comments below, and it will be on the free side of Patreon, so don't forget to make your voices heard. Now, let's take a quick look at what the differences are between Unity and Retribution again, and just to refresh. So, Asur Vengeance is the big one in combination with Bloody Handed Asur. So between this, melee attack and weapon damage plus 10%, and this, which ranks up to about 18% weapon missile strength per rank achieved, means all of our armies between these two effectively get a 30% increase to their attack and or weapon strength and missile strength, which is pretty significant, on top of the fact that if they get damaged, they get even more effectiveness in terms of their, well, damage, as well as the bleed imbuement on them. And that's not all. There's also some convenient stuff like cheaper recruitment, much faster global recruitment, so we wouldn't have to ferry units as far, at the very least once we can afford to globally recruit stuff, because it's obviously way more expensive. The upkeep reduction in enemy territory doesn't matter at all, because you're never in enemy territory, or at the very least very rarely, but the income from post-battle loot is decently nice. There is the additional campaign movement range, and replenishes 10% when winning after a battle is the good part. The in enemy territory, again, doesn't really matter over much. There's a little bit of additional melee attack and reload when attacking or when laying siege, and this does actually happen fairly often, at the very least compared to defending. Vigor loss reduction when fighting, and hold the line for every character, so basically free melee defense and auras around, though it does make useless the same thing, the hold the line trait that we took for our nobles, so I guess we'd have to reset some of them. Plus free character XP gain for everybody, which I would imagine also includes Convoys, and is actually pretty strong. For Unity, we get growth for all provinces, which would mean, obviously, the additional growth that we've been seeking, and thus a faster expansion, or at the very least, our home territory is growing faster. We got defensive supplies plus 1,000 and defense under siege, which is not bad for our fortified territories. Hero and Lord recruit rank plus 3, always nice to have. This doesn't matter at all. Leadership, who cares? Plus 10 influence is fine in the early game, but overall, mid to late game, it's basically nothing. Hero action success chance means faster tech stealing and more influence stealing success rate, though, plus the hero capacity and upkeep reduction are nice. Though again, by the time that we have all this, the upkeep reductions and frankly the money from this and this probably won't matter over much because we'll probably be past needing money. Same thing kind of goes for the construction cost reductions, but this does give us the Eagle Sanctuary ability to summon eagles in our army, any army, when fighting, and eagles are a great summon unit. Do you have enemy artillery or enemy archers or whatnot? Whoa, eagles be upon ye. Which frankly we've been doing with several armies anyway, it works quite well. Attrition reduction, minus 50% is quite nice, as we've had a few situations where attrition has been quite annoying, and we are spreading further out from Ulthuan. There is some construction reduction and, again, some upkeep reductions, but again, those don't really matter. Then the control in the mid to late game probably won't matter too much either, as the control bonuses that we are already starting to get are really racking up and are pretty darn good. Overall, I think they're both really good options. The economic buffs of Unity are decent, but not actually all that strong. Good for early game, mostly irrelevant past the mid game, like the construction cost reduction and relationship with and stuff. The main draw is, like I was saying, the relationship with all factions, which all told is plus 100, which admittedly you can also to some degree do with influence, but you have to wait until later game to the point that you have a lot of spare influence to, well, influence everybody that you want to be super friendly with. Conversely, the minus 100 relationships all told with all of the factions, we do get major buffs for all of our units at the cost of it, which are pretty strong. A huge 30% bonus to all missile and weapon strength and additional bonuses, plus some convenience for army moving around and all that. But it may very well take a long time to counteract the diplomatic malice, and it may make some alliances crumble. Not elven alliances, mind you, but we'll see, as it would cost a huge amount of influence to counteract the relationship malice with every faction that's unhappy. Dark Elves would probably not be a possible ally, but I'm not even sure Dark Elves would be a possible ally even with the plus 100, just because, you know, everybody hates everybody, as it tends to be. So yeah, these are the two, Esser Vengeance and Ulthuan Renaissance. Up to you guys. I will run this vote for a few episodes, maybe 2, 3, whatever, as people do need to catch up to this one. And yeah, make your voices heard below. Back to our regular scheduled programming. 400 gold. You know what? Leave the settlement and channel instead. At the cost of the gold, it's all good. Yeah, I think I just didn't end the turn because Capitano Cisco and the orcs were liable to attack us, and therefore... Oh, wait, we have a blurb. Yes, okay, wait. I believe it's the Silverhelms, right? Nothing else? And Silverhelms are a big part of what Tyrion's got going on for him. We read the ancient subterranean palaces last time, or palace rather, for Cathik. So yeah, Silverhelms. Now that we have 4 of them especially. Of all the High Elf knights, it is the Silverhelms who are seen as the perfect exemplars of mounted martial grace and valor to which young elves should aspire. Dragon princes are too distant and aloof. Illyrian reavers, perhaps a touch too wild and uncivilized. Silverhelms are proud without being haughty, and brave without being undisciplined. Thus, Ulthuan's legends more often center around the deeds of its Silverhelm than any other warriors within the 10 realms. Where the ranks of archers and spear regiments are drawn from the citizenry of Ulthuan, the Silverhelms are recruited purely from families of noble blood. While such a calling is not compulsory, few amongst the nobility are prepared to invite dishonor by not fulfilling their duty. Furthermore, service as a Silverhelm is often considered the finest way for a noble to prove himself as a warrior and a leader both. As Silverhelm's first lessons drive out his desire for individual glory and personal renown, replacing it with a pride that stems from his regiment's deeds. As his training progresses, he learns to more fully master his steed. A Silverhelm must ride unflinchingly into the din of battle, and his horse must bear him thence without hesitation or spoken command, trampling foes that block the path. There are few more glorious sights in all of Ulthuan than when a regiment of Silverhelms dips its lances and charges into the fray. The Silverhelms are willing to throw themselves into the most dangerous of battles. They do so in the understanding that glory awaits those who prevail, and they are arrogant enough to believe they can succeed no matter the odds. For these young nobles, there can be no hesitation in facing any foe. It is those victories that are hardest won, which bring about the sweetest glories and earn the grandest renown. Indeed. Alrighty. And if you think that sounds arrogant, just wait until the blurb about Dragon Princes. Anyway, trait gain supervisor for a Larial campaign movement range. That's great. Huh. She needs as much movement range as she can get, frankly, because she's still building up Ulthuan. And ooh, I just saw territory change hands. But I wonder whose. Somewhere here, where the Cult of Pleasure and Heshwetla and the Exiles of Nehek are kind of locked in combat. And it looks like Turg will move in. And, wait, was Turg in here, or did he come from somewhere else? I suppose it doesn't matter. What does matter is Coral's got another fight on his hands. The Silvern Guard may not be staying with him, but they are acting as a nice anvil for his forces, and hopefully will continue to do so here and get trained up. Plus, we get Belinair the Wise. I'm interested to see what his model looks like. Go.
It is an honor to fight for the Phoenix King.
Alrighty, here we go, and now we've got Corhill and Mr. Alistar competing for who's white lioning the best. Corhill does have his own pure main company now. Too bad we didn't. Too bad we couldn't get two of them somehow by confederating. Sometimes, for some reason, regiments of renown that are built by AIs, you get to keep a copy of them. But it seems a lot of the time they do get deleted, but then other times they're kept. I'm not entirely sure why. I just got so spoiled by SFO with Serena Catchman because she gets 2 copies of every single regiment of renown, and that's just fantastic. And yeah, I'm almost sometimes tempted to get a mod that does that, but at the same time, then I feel like it would delete some of Serena Catchman's uniqueness and identity and whatnot. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy seeing Corhill fight at the head of his pure main company, but for now, we gotta irritate the enemy army by hitting them with our Eagle Claw bolters. They're gonna dodge most of the shots, but the goal isn't really to damage them so much as to annoy them. We do want them to move a little bit closer to us and away from where the units are coming in on the map. Obviously, by this time, we could have all gone here and attacked them, but not a big deal. Also, at the same time, while the enemy is moving onto the battlefield in a blob, we'll probably hit them a few times with the bolt throwers. I'm not actually controlling what they're attacking, so they can feel free to. Well, minus the one that was attacking that gob unit, trying to annoy it. Admittedly, with the bolt throwers not super buffed up in this particular army, they're not going to do too much damage even to a huge blob like this. Well, they should be fairly decent at clearing out giant piles of gobs. Yeah, we're doing like, 2 to 3% HP damage to the blob per hit. In the meantime, though, the gobs and orcs will continue milling around until we're ready, and we're going to move forward the handmaid on the teensy bit to help in sniping the orc war boss. Ooh, that was a miss. He does have a silver shield. Maybe get a few hits in there and then back off. It's not like we need her reload aura for this particular army. And hello, looks like the enemy wants to get back with their own range, which is a Gaze of Mork. Actually, I think that was a Vindictive Glare, but yeah, it's a Night Goblin Shaman. Vindictive Glare it is. And here we go, here comes the Searing Doom. Overcast, where is the Searing Doom from? You guessed it, Belinair the Wise is now on field. He's got a staff and he's got a sword, and he's looking pretty old for an elf, I suppose, but being Teclis's master, I suppose that does make to some degree sense, though elves obviously don't look old even when they get old. Alrighty, and there we go. Ooh, knocking out one of the boar boys as he moves on in. He doesn't, unfortunately, yet have a company of lore masters and swords masters with him, but he will in rather short order. I expect it in the next episode or two, as we're getting there. And now, similar to Corhill and to to Mr. Alistar, it does make me wonder who has the better Swordsmaster and Loremaster buffs. Anyway, speaking of Corhill, he's in the midst of the fray, completely surrounded by foes as we moved him ahead of the rest of our units. Our Silvern Guard are going to hold back the blob, but Corhill, together with his Pure Main Company, are going to fight the biggest blob of enemies. Their Lion Standard still flying overhead, and as usual, I expect the greatest damage to be not from the orcs, but from the goblins as these spinning loons periodically get released into the piles of units of our own. Ooh, looks like the Standard Bearer is starting to get mobbed by the orcs here. Hopefully he doesn't fall. But at the very least, this is a pretty epic stand for Corhill, and I do love how his armor is using the same sort of scales, and the same color scheme rather, as his Pure Main Company. It does work, and that's why I'm thinking that we gotta keep him on foot. He wants to keep doing this. Alrighty, and another Searing Doom comes down to help him out, doing a decent bit of damage to the orcs and sending the Squig Herd packing. In the meantime, we've taken some severe damage from one of the units of Black Orcs, which are attacking a unit of Silvern Guard, and probably will win it, even with Eagles and the Mist Mage hitting them in the rear. And we've also now closed the distance with the enemy backliners, as the High Elven Rangers have managed to close the distance with a bunch of the enemy Orc Boys and, more importantly, Error Boys and Night Gobbo Archers, or whatever Gobbo Archers they have. And, oh, Bolt Thrower, no, don't do that. But they and the War Lions are rapidly tearing through the enemy rear ranks, and soon only the main liners will be engaged, which is looking pretty good for us. Once again, I am very much enjoying having gotten to use a lot of the High Elven Rangers in the early game. And same with the War Lions, making it a very different early game in terms of feel than a lot of the other High Elven campaigns that I've played on the channel. Just something I like to do with the units that I, have a tendency to overlook sometimes. I have a policy of trying to use every single unit in the roster. Except, completely useless units like, I don't know, shielded Saurus versus unshielded Saurus. There's no fundamental difference except one unit is just worse than the other. At the very least, things like Empire Pikemen are a little bit different than shielded Spearmen. So there is some argument to be made there. Either way, the Black Orcs have indeed defeated the Silvern Guard, or at the very least forced them to withdraw with about 20% of their HP remaining, though nearly half of their models remaining, so they'll heal as long as we back them up, which we did. And it's a good idea to have withdrawn them, because with that, the Black Orcs shatter with the rest of the enemy army. And the battle is ours. The Lion Standard of the Pure Main Company still flies, and Corhill and his hand-picked men carry the day as the spearhead, axehead perhaps, of his formation. Very nice. Alrighty, there we go. A rather nice fight, if I do say so myself. Absolutely love seeing Corhill at the head of the Pure Main Company there, who waded into the thickest of the fighting and managed to rack up 321 kills and 33,000 damage. Several of our Silvern Guard, especially the one on the left flank, got severely damaged by the Black Orcs with great weapons, though at 17k damage. It's a bad matchup for the Silvern Guard, even with the massive amount of melee defense that they have, the high damaging armor-piercing great weapons, and the high attack on the Black Orcs sort of get around that. The Rangers did well, but also took a fair bit of damage, and man, we're getting a fair bit of mileage out of the Rangers in combination with the War Lions, and it's been pretty good. Solid Warhammer 40,000 damage on the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, 174 kills and 29k damage on Bellinaire, thanks to his Searing Doom Overcast, and I think he only used that one time, so that's a fair bit of damage from that, plus whatever damage he got by just whacking away at jerks. Anyway, I guess we'll ransom captives. I'd actually like to heal here, but at the same time this is influence per turn, and there isn't much left in the garrison, so we should be okay there. And that's a choice. Okie dokie. Auto-resolve and occupy. Why'd they do that? There's a curious... Hello! Huh, the Broken Axe and the Skull Smashers confederated as soon as we started fighting them, and I noticed that Nagaron sued for peace against the Cabal. Presumably because we started taking Nagarothi territories. Alrighty, Gilgallion, what do you want, buddy? Military Alliance. How about Confederation? While there are some major factions we're keeping around, I don't really care about the minor factions. There's no real use for them being kept around. And they just get confederated eventually by the major factions anyway. And hey, unsurprisingly, Capitano Sissoko with her fantastic army is up against us. She's got a Necrofex and a Rotting Leviathan, backed up by 2 Rotting Promethean gunnery mobs, never to be underestimated. Rotting Prometheans, a couple of Mourngulls, some Depth Guard, Deck Gunners, Carronades. It's a very solid stack, and ours remains at primarily low ranks. And now we don't have the archers to pincushion as many of the enemies, but we do have the Silver Helms to make up for it. Let's see how we do. Tyrion, Sunfang, no relying on the Sword of Khaine this time.
No creature, mage, warrior or beast can stand against the true elves.
Alrighty, here we go. Capitano Sissoko and her rather elite stack, with a level effectively matching that of Tyrion's weird damage, on top of having a much worse tier of army than the enemy does, but we do have some legends like, well, Tyrion and Caradrian on field, and plus our single tier 5 Keepers of the Flame, which should be good against the Necrofex and such if they can get there, though it is a long way to travel with their speed. Maybe try to bump that speed up a little bit more, get a dynamo or something noble in this army instead of the frugal fella. But anyway, I digress. Before we get started on this battle, before I forget, if you guys do want another double episode, we could do another, maybe on Wednesday or something like that. So let's once again set the engagement threshold. This time, let's say 300 likes and 60 comments per episode, and we'll do another double episode basically the next day that I can find the time to do one. Could be Wednesday, could be Friday, could be Saturday. We shall see. And just, you know, keep it in mind if you're into that sort of thing. Anyway, we're going to start off by using Sunfang's ability on the Sirens with their massive physical resistances. Obviously, they're quite annoying. And we ride right past them with Tyrion, who instead engages the enemy lord. And hits her for about half HP with 2 blows with the Curse of Anarian active. 1.2k weapon strength, pretty solid, though obviously not to the degree that we had with the Sword of Khaine. Here come the Silver Helms now in numbers of 4, smashing into those core handgunners, though the hidden, stalking, unspotable units of Mourngulls do move to meet them. Pretty cool charge for the Illyrian Reavers, and this is actually one of my favorite sea maps to fight on. It's all, you know, very clear and, you know, bright, but not too bright. It's a very nice one to fight on. I'm really glad that we got Capitano Sissoko here. In the meantime, I don't want this frickin' giant beastie, the Rotting Leviathan, closing in on the lines of our infantry, so we're going to keep it distracted with our noble, who on Eagleback will fight it, while Caradrian attempts to engage the enemy Necrofex Colossus in combat, though he does get surrounded by the Rotting Promethean gunnery mobs, and they are not to be underestimated in melee. They can surround a lord or hero and gun him down if you're not careful. Tyrion has taken some damage, getting annoyed by the polearms of these zombie pirate deckhand mobs as they're trying to keep him back from executing the enemy lord. There's probably 1 or 2 more hits. Probably 1 if we can push through. Come on now. And ooh, the arrows help out knocking out these zombies, and 1 more hit. Oh! You missed that? Yeah, you did miss it. Come on, man. That would have been great. Alright, well, I'm sure that he'll... uh-oh. Now he's going too fast, damn it. Oh, there we go. It looks like the the enemy lord did get hit by some arrows, but that didn't execute Sissoko. Tyrion is still there to attempt to do it, and there we go. Sissoko loses her head. In the meantime, the rest of our army is still on the approach, but did actually get stopped as the 2 units of Depth Guard, as well as some of the monsters. I think it was a unit of Mourngulls or a unit of Rotting Prometheans. Actually, both, I think. Smash into our lines. Fortunately, with the company of the Calendarian as well as the Keepers of the Flame here, they pierce the armor of of those darn units, and especially the Depth Guard. Unfortunately, the Morngul's tear through one of the ship's companies, as freshly drafted is down to 20% of their HP. The Handmaiden holds them back, but actually takes a fair bit of damage from the unit of Morngul's before the rest of our units close the distance. Fortunately, with the Phoenix accompanying, or Tweety specifically accompanying the Phoenix Guard, the Morngul's are torn to shreds rather quick, and the Silverhelms are still riding around, making sure that no enemy range units can fire off a shot. Over in the background, our Noble has in fact defeated the enemy unit, the enemy running Leviathan, which our single Eagle Claw bolt thrower has been firing its single-shot armor-piercing bolts into the back of, cracking that big shell. And now, perhaps almost as always, only the Necrofex Colossus remains. It falls even as we activate the Burning Path from that Sunfang leaves with its ability, knocking out most of the zombie pirate deckhand mobs that the Necrofex disgorges as it falls. And a few more seconds, we'll see the last of Capitano Sisseco's army destroyed on this beach. Again, I love this map. I wish I could activate this map for more island battles rather than the one with the hill in the middle. Admittedly, though, Kadrill has been using that hill battle to great effect because she's been able to hide her army thanks to the elevation differences from any direct fire artillery. But anyway, a very nice fight. Solid work out of pretty much every unit. Hey, alrighty, a pretty glorious fight if I do say so myself, and Tyrion may have lost the Sword of Khaine, but he didn't lose the Curse of Anarion, so he's still gonna act like a maniac and run towards the enemy army by himself. But hey, at least he does lead by example, so I can't fault him for that one. Tyrion defeats the enemy lord, gets a solid 14k damage, but of course this gets surrounded by tons of units, and frankly, a unit like Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs is really good at pinning him in place, because he doesn't have the immunity to... Well, okay, he does with the Helm of Dreska, but usually he wouldn't have the immunity to contact effects. That would prevent Cavalry Bane from annoying him. A decent work out of Tweety, who once again takes a bunch of damage from range fire, but it's every single time. Our Silverhelms top out at 14k damage, matching Tyrion himself, which is quite nice, and by the looks of it, beating everybody that isn't the Keepers of the Flame. As for the named ships companies, Company of the Conch carries the day in terms of most damage, and the freshly drafted, unsurprisingly, takes the prize for getting most of their number destroyed. But that's ships companies. Yeah, we're taking the 4K. We are in friendly territory. We ended the turn in friendly territory with Tyrion for good reason here. Alright. Supervisor for Alariel, good. Worksbane, Dauntless, Constructor, Confederation, Ally Mission, Enemy Killed in Battle. The Book of the Phoenix, Bellinaire the Wise. Ah, hello. You have a unique item. This is good. This is very good. So basically you have a similar Phoenix ability, eh? Well, that's lovely. White Lion Chariot for Coil. I'll keep him on the chariot for well, you know, since Alistar is on the chariot, I feel like I kind of like the idea of Coral fighting on foot together with his pure main company. So I think I'm gonna, you know what, let's put him on the chariot for one battle just to see what it looks like, and then more likely than not I'll put him back down on foot. And hello, Herald of Mathland. Do you have one, sir? You do. Okay, well, I'll find somebody who doesn't. Hey, we got another spine court. We got a spine court, rather. This is important. And if I recall correctly, this means, what is it, Convoy completed? Spy of Talea? Valzanville, Land of Chill. Yes, we will deal with that. Kingdom of Retonia, Kuran. Yes, we will deal with that as well, or look at it. More public ordered. A Journey into the Heavens. Okay. Convoy completed. Yes, okay, beautiful. And yes, that's what the Spine Court is. I do like all the extra allegiance points, and a couple of Ogre Bulls. Okay, that's an interesting... I should give the Ogre Bulls to Kadrill. Just to lean into the whole cannibalism thing. Anyway, right to unlocked Invocation of Hoeth. Great. Wait, no, it's a Vol that we want. Hoeth is fine, but give me more Vol, please. Anyway, Spy and Court. In theory, should be on Kevin pretty much always, because he's our... Oh, March stands blue, buddy. What? Okay, go here.
Journeying on.
He's our main recruiter, man. And right there, please. Thank you. And we'll give you the Spine Court as well as the Advisor to the King. Now, if you could only rank up to rank 7 and get Regent of the Kingdom, that would be, well, lovely. Alright, stay there, buddy. We don't have the levels we need yet to get the Exalted Gate Guard or anything like that, so you're just going to sit here. Unless we want to send you north and get other stuff, I'll think about it. There's another thing. Since this place is our first tier 4, we could get rid of the estate and replace it with another tier 4 structure to get access to other units. I will think about it. We may do that. Oh, new technology as well. Marble stockpiles, construction costs for all buildings? Yes. Yes, please. I don't think anything is going to match that. And actually, speaking of construction cost, I believe Alariel... Oh, you can't quite reach any location, not even Shrine of Loeg, so I guess we end our turn in Elisale on you then, since you can't reach Lothern anyway. So go to Elisale, please. And Lequin, just to double check, I assume you're in the same position? Yeah. Unless we want to go back to Torquarali for any reason, we do not. And frankly, it'll be a while growing, so let's pop it into Banish Corruption for now. We're banishing Corruption here for additional growth, and we're banishing Corruption... We're not banishing Corruption here because it will be upgraded in 2 turns. Okie dokie. Quinn, you guys are all both going to Lothern to upgrade this. Well, this is actually free, so we'll do it right now, but honestly... This is so cheap, it probably doesn't matter over much. Well, at least we're here to upgrade this nearly freely. Wait. Iron Manor and Elven Fairground, please.
I will do my duty.
I'm tempted to just do the Grand Repository. I mean, it's 1 turn. Oh, wait, you will actually reduce the construction time to 1 turn, so it doesn't matter. This is already 1 turn. Do we care about the 600 gold? Maybe not. Alright, just do it right now, then. Alrighty, what about here? Yes to the manor, please, as nobody's going to be down there to reduce the construction cost. Then, I think we do one of the blurbs. Also, wait. Where are you going, Ulthuan? You're going to skilled. Okay, well that's fine. Doesn't bother me none. And hey, we are in range of Marienburg, which is not well defended enough, Oswald. Looks like we're about to take it. Just gotta make sure that... Aha!
Defender of the
What are you two doing? Oh, they're at war with each other, too. That's kind of entertaining. You'll be able to kill them both, Mr. Borath. You're technically here just to deliver troops, but, well, take the opportunity. Go after the orcs first, I guess. Should be a free attack, essentially.
Guardian.
And then Peter Stahlberg after. Free Deepwood Branch, go for the influence per turn. And then do this. And auto-resolve it. And double up on the influence per turn. Oh, lovely. Then, I'm just going to assume that the dwarfs aren't going to attack us here. Fully. Oh, you can't reach Musion from here? That's a little bit irritating. The reason being, then we'd have to send Corhill around that way. Hopefully nobody will attack out of Castle Artois. I don't actually care about Castle Artois, it's just that we need 1 territory to trade to these guys in order to trade Eataine from them. Though I suppose what we could do here is grab Massive Orcal and trade it to them. While we haven't quite saved their faction, we more or less have. By knocking out Be'lakor and the Orc armies, they're pretty much doomed. Anyway, I was going to do a blurb. Borath, you don't need this, buddy. Yeah, alright, fine. I guess we'll send Coril around to Musion. And then we'll see about going to Artois afterwards.
What news?
And colonize. And now we have the coast of Lyonesse. We'll rebuild Lost Splendor as we like to do. I love rebuilding Lost Splendor. Anyway, let's see you. Go out here. You don't need to... Oh, wait, actually, yes. I was going to transfer to Coril the Exalted Illyrian Reavers, because we're going to use them to take the place of essentially White Line Chariots. I don't think we're going to have 4 war lines in his army at the end of the day, but for now, we can keep them. The Rangers, Exalted Rangers at the very least, are already being used in Alistar's army, so I think we replace the Rangers here because I was going to upgrade them to... Shadow Warriors. Yes. With the Spearman army. Let's do this. And, we still have to deliver the other Exalted Ranger to Alistar. I guess we can have Bellinair bring it to him until we get an army for him. Now, I suppose what we could also do is have Bellinair command the Spears and Shadow Warriors army until until we get the Swords Masters and the other things we want to give him. Might actually not be a bad idea. Good, Ruinous. Good. Anyway, let's do this trade. I assume none of these others need to be traded here. Like so. Frankly, the Silver Guard will need to be traded as well. Oh, you really need either a noble or a... Who else does the... Oh, or a handmaiden. We should have several handmaidens running around. You. Went to Corell's army.
Isha watches over us.
You don't have many units there, but what you do have is this, replenish troops. There you go, that'll allow him to heal and fight regardless of the status of his current army. Also, we could grab the Ward of Isha, regardless of the fact that we're saving the, you know, for 10 points. Yeah. Everything he gets is at rank 10. Okay, fair enough. Also, since you're rank 10, you can start moving towards a Retinue Physician as well. Let's get Retinue Valet, need more items, and Retinue Physician, and we'll save the rest of your points as we come upon them. Yes, Obscuring Haze. Good. And Coral is saving his point. Anyway, like I said, I was going to do a blurb and then promptly forgot, since we have 3 blurbs. Wait. Okay, I definitely am going to forget, so I want to send the convoy out now. That was the Miragliano convoy. We're next traveling to Kofur. May as well go down to Sudenburg town. Let's see. Oh, you're both traveling. Oh, I don't like that. But nonetheless, tolerates man-eaters. Why not? Let's tolerate some man-eaters. It's an unusual army, and generally with the convoys, I like to pick the ones that feel the most unusual to me. Frankly, we'd probably be safe to send you to Marienburg now, since this place isn't as bad as it was anymore. But since we already did these two, I feel like we do Sudenburg, Socotra, and Berikovar, so... Sudenburg, because it's the closest, I think. Like so. You're our new convoy. I hope that there isn't an enemy army down there. Oh, you know what? Let's dispatch you now. Like so, then, don't request. Then I would just like to see if there are any... No. Ah, so many Skull Islands. Alright, don't you worry. Cadrilla's going down there. Speaking of Cadrilla, actually, go for that mysterious island, please. Influencer, you are going to land here somewhere, and then there should be another influencer on the way somewhere. You.
Son of Ulthuan.
Aggression. And, hey, Dragonfire handgun. Yes, we were definitely looking to build some fire armies, so that will be nice. Now you have frenzy and cannibalism.
Princess of the Asuryan.
That's also lovely. Go right here. We'll grab the shipwreck and then proceed to whichever other one. Maybe if we get close enough, we can sink Mad Mullitson's fleet, because I don't want him existing. I find his existence offensive. Anyway, the land of Chill, I believe, Valzanville. Deep within the black adamant temple of Vol, the Druki smiths craft weapons of dread power, siphoning off their very souls into the weapons before quenching them in blood. Yet the weapons only become truly powerful when they are shaped with the hammer of Vol, stolen from Ulthuan many years ago by Hotek. Hotek was an outcast priest of Vol. It was he who forged Malekith's rune-etched armor and oversaw the creation of many of the Witch King's most terrible weapons. Renegade and turncoat though he was, Hotek was no fool. He knew that he lived only at Malekith's fickle pleasure, and so created for himself an armory of defenses, both magical and mundane, with which he hoped to blunt the Witch King's wrath long enough to escape. Ultimately, Hotek did not perish at Malekith's hand, but was poisoned at Morathi's order. And yeah, so there's every single one of the elves have their own Vol's Anvil. We have the Vol's Anvil here, the Nagarothi Vol's Anvil. We have the real Vol's Anvil here at Calidor, well, the High Elven one. And then, of course, we have Vol's Anvil in Athaloran as well. Yeah. All the elves like Vol. But Vol, in the form of Daith, lives with the Wood Elves, so who's really winning that one? Anyway, actually, speaking of Vol's Anvil, go for the manor. And is there anything that will further increase the growth here? Fast as we can... Well, technically Public Order will, but since we're not collecting income, the Public Order is fine. This place will most likely never collect any money, so we could use it either for capacities or build a royal garrison to defend it. It is such a critical landmark that I think, yeah, we'll go for the defenses. 3 turns, then we upgrade it to tower. And eventually if we can trade these guys some territories and buy Hag Hall and Temple of Adeath and Clark Harrond, ideally. But that would be just great. And hey, Vilician is here. Now, the
It
real
shall be
question
done.
is...
This will fail. No.
I wanted to grab the Sea Corpse.
Your word?
I wonder how much damage we take. We could probably fight it manually and reduce the amount of damage. I wonder if we could catch Velician out in an ambush. It would be ideal. But anyway, let's we'll deal with that later. For now, Tyrion, you are the first to move. Oh, there's another island down here, but we're not sending Tyrion after it. We can send Tyrion to grab this one though, or this one. Seems to be faster to reach Nagaron this way. I want him to duel Malekith before Malekith is destroyed by our chariot army, so I guess you're going this way. Grab the mysterious island. Actually, you could probably stop on by and grab this real quick. There's just one materials at sea game, just one. We've picked up so many islands and not gotten materials at sea in this campaign, but I haven't had good luck with materials at sea in the last few campaigns, and in the Fey Enchantress campaign, the same sort of situation, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Anyway, Alistar. You are attacking. Since we read a blurb, and we can fight. Vanguard Master is what we're going through. Yes. Alrighty. You can level up your life mage. I'm going to say probably not going to rely on regrowth here, but we might. I'm tempted to just go for another point in Earthblood just because it's spammable, and spammable is good. You, Noble, the Crushing Noble, most likely will stay in this army. Therefore, does Rain Stewardship buff White Lion Chariots, War Lion Chariots? Lion Chariot, ugh, every time. The last option. Anyway, it does. More charge bonus and chariot units, huh? We won't have these in this army, so obviously you're going for Blade Stewardship, but I wonder if we should get another one of these guys. Another 5 missile resistance for the White Lions could be nice. Oh, I actually wanted to see something. No, we still have regular martial prowess on the Exalted White Lions. That's surprising. I figured that I was surprised that even the regular ones have martial prowess rather than martial mastery, but, go figure. Anyway. What do we want to put the points in here? Do we keep saving? Was gonna keep saving them for Esteemed Combatant and, you know, this stuff. And it may still be the way to do it, so yeah, we'll do that. Alrighty, you, sir. Are you able to switch to Noble Prestige? You are, but you won't be able to reach the enemy then. Therefore, I guess we're attacking. Go, go, go. Let's see what you got, Mr. Oswald. You gonna run? You are not gonna run. That is unfortunate for you. We will almost tempted to auto-resolve it, because it's not a crazy force, but at the same time, you never know. And it is still a full stag between both of these armies, so it's still worthy of a fight regardless. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Alistar not to be outdone. Coral is fighting orcs. Alistar gonna be fighting undead. Who's going to White Lion harder? Find out next time. Here we go. I will not stop making that joke. Here we go. We're gonna charge right in this time with using our piles of High Elven Rangers Vanguard deployment to advance together with Mr. Alistar faster than the rest of the army. The Pride of Ulthuan and the other units of White Lines are bringing up the rear. They don't have Vanguard deployment, unlike the Rangers, so the Rangers are laying into those crypt ghouls and skeletons and whatnot rather quickly. And it's not like we need the armor piercing of the White Lines to deal with the ghouls. And the Twin Blades should do just fine. Or the Blade and Short Spear, in this particular case, for the Exalted variants. Either way, we're looking pretty good as this first little army is effectively destroyed. The Black Knights attempted to charge and then escape, or at the very least cycle charge. We caught them with the Eagles and now surround them with War Lines to make sure that they cannot do so. And the War Lines tear them to shreds. The Crypt Hulks and one of the units of zombies are the only things still fighting, and that I would expect not for too much longer. Rahagra's Pride now hitting the poor units of Crypt Hulks with some nice shots from our artillery pieces, though we do have to be careful with that, as, you know, could pincushion our own lines if we're not careful. But either way, the Crypt Hulks fall and only the enemy lord remains on field, who I decided not to go after with Alistar this time around, as this is a Necrarch lord and they kind of act like necromancers on the field. They sort of run around in the background casting rather than fighting, which on the one hand does make sense for Necrarch, but it's still a vampire lord. They're still quite strong. Necrarch or not. Either way, this first little army is destroyed, but the real battle is the reinforcements, and they have a very good position themselves, coming in onto the battlefield on this big old hill. We're not going to bother charging up that hill as yet, but instead irritating the enemy with our Eagle Claw bolt, or firing at whatever units we can that are more of a threat to ours, which is the Grave Guard with the halberds and greatswords. There we go. Once again, Alistar is going to move forward. This time, he will ride towards the enemy lord. However, a vampiress, because this is a garrison army, sending her flying and engaging her minion skeletons while the rest of our units move on. And unlike the first battle, where our vanguard deployed fast-moving elven rangers moved towards the enemy, this time we charge with the white lions. Their armor-piercing great axes will work nicely against all of those Graveguard units, though of course I'm sure the Graveguard will also be able to hit back. To prevent it, at the very least to some degree, while we have a Life Lore Mage in this armor, we're going to pop out that Shield of Thorns on some of our White Lions. And now that the enemy Graveguard are mostly engaged, our Rangers will move in, partly targeting the weaker enemy units like Skeleton Warriors, and also where they can, rear charging and flanking the enemy army units. And by the looks of it, tearing them to shreds. Again, it's been a rather nice combo, and it's working for me. Still haven't decided which of our two armies the Exalted Elven Rangers are going to be in, but we shall see. On the one hand, they've been with Alistar for so long. I feel like he deserves them. You know what? I gotta double check if both of the lords give Strider to the entire army, and if only one of them does, maybe give that lord the Rangers. And I also don't remember if they naturally get Strider or not. I gotta double check as well. Either way, one of them, more likely Corhill, will probably get some Wood Elven units instead. We can give him some, I don't know, support dancers or something. We shall see. Either way, for now, the enemy army is effectively destroyed. A couple units of Skeleton Warriors remain and are quickly getting mobbed. Rahagra's Pride lets out their roar to reduce the enemy leadership. Oh, and I do have to remember that if we can get a couple of Celestial Lions from Catha, the Rahagra's Pride's roar will actually probably work nicely with that of the Celestial Lions, which have a leadership reducing effect, and perhaps we could stack some leadership reductions in one of these armies. Anyway, decisive victory, and surprisingly, well done. Alright, there we go. Still a pretty fun fight in my opinion. Lots of infantry hijinks with the White Lions facing off against the Graveguard, and of course the Exalted High Elven Rangers helping out. The best unit getting 21k damage and actually out-damaging the White Lions, buffed by Alistar, so very impressive. Though again, keeping in mind that these guys were using primarily to attack the weaker Skeleton Warriors as opposed to the heavily armored Graveguards, so it makes sense. Anyway, we'll ransom captives as we usually do.
Free them.
Like so. And you are going to back up. I assume we can
I offer assistance?
not go through this to get after you, but that's okay. Enemy killed in battle, Scroll of Power. You performed the best with that 21k and out damaged everybody, so you will be Storm of Blades. Like so. Lovely. And you can't switch to... No, you cannot switch to... Alright, Marienburg it is then. Auto-resolve. More damage than the actual battle, but I'm not at all surprised. And there we go. Marienburg is ours. I'm going to say start by uncollecting the income, maybe? I mean, the Vampire Corruption is already effectively gone. I think we need to immediately build walls here, though. Yeah. While Marienburg Port is obviously inclined to give us a lot of cash, this is probably not going to be super defensible without walls, at least until we fix the Empire's problems for them. So yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure Aislin's going to be super happy about this. Anyway, let's, let us, I guess, demolish the plaza then. Actually, you know what, while Alistar is here providing the additional military buffs. The control buffs, you can just stay there. Anyway, speaking of Alistair, get that Vanguard Master, and hey, since we got rank 7s, we will soon start being able to take advantage of them. Good. And then, since we fought a blurb, we fought a battle, let's do a blurb. We fought a blurb. I guess reading it, wrestling with it, is a matter of combat. Anyway, Vol's Anvil is what we did. Kuhan. The Dukedom of Kuhan is a founding dukedom that lies upon the northern shores of Bretonnia and is the current seat of power of the King's Royal Court. Not anymore. Even in comparison to all the other dukedoms, the land of Kuran is said to contain some of the greatest horsemen within all of the realms. Such a boast should not be taken lightly, especially within a kingdom such as Bretonnia, but it is common knowledge that the people of Kuran are severely obsessed with horses and horsemanship. From high nobles to lowly peasants, almost everyone in Kuhan has ridden a horse in their lifetime, and some boast that their children learn how to ride one before they even know how to walk. In fact, the Kuronian obsession makes horse breeding and horse racing very important elements of their culture and even their politics. Plots to undermine a rival's horses are commonplace, and feuds arising from them are a major feature. Such obsessions with horses has only made the Knights of Kuran all the more valorous in their deeds, with the Duke being none other than Luen Leoncoeur himself, the current Royarch of all Bretonnia. Indeed, though I'm pretty sure he's dead because, you know, this place got obliterated. Poor Luen has not been doing well in any of the campaigns that have been running recently, but oh well. Anyway, Manor, we will go for Haven. This is our first set of pottery, and actually out of curiosity, what does this unlock? Wait a moment. Porcelain kilns. I probably could have figured that one out. What does this do for us? Income from faction capital, income from province. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. I'd really like that healing cell, but where the heck is the nearest place we can build an alchemy workshop? Gem setting we will have on Ulthuan. This is Eastern Bazaar. This is spices. We can get this out of, I want to say, Miragliano. Or somewhere near there. And then this is pastures, cattle ranches. There's several options for that. In fact, some are in Bretonnia as well. Alright. Well, keep going for the marble stockpiles. Actually, where is... Yeah, we saw this, but the likelihood of getting this with these guys having a full province is negligible. Where can we find the next one? I know there's a couple of sources in Lustria. If we send an expedition around... It's probably the best way. Well, I guess we could pass through here, but anyway. There should be medicinal plants here somewhere. Maybe here? Pretty sure that there was. Well, hopefully we can find them. And, okay, yeah, that's just, yeah. I was worried for a second that that was an enemy, but it was not. I think everything's fine. Nobody panic. Maybe a little. Anyway, let's see what's next. Inamara. Alright, you have this thing. And then possibly an attempt at an ambush of Elysian. What do we have in terms of defenses here? Not much. For now, temporarily, we'll similarly want to build the stone walls here because we'll need the extra defenses. Use it as a staging ground. How many territories do you have, Malika? 10. So you actually moved northward and fought Chaos. I am proud of you, buddy. I'm proud of you. We're going to have to kill you and take your stuff, but I am proud of you for doing that rather than, you know, doing what the game usually does, which is ally you with Dark Elves, and it bugs me every time. Anyway, Anamara, I guess we have no choice. Let's get you Bowmaster to buff up those bolt throwers further. And what are we at here? Missile strength. Huh?
What orders?
It was already at 5.1. Did that not change? Weird.
Time is of the essence.
This increases your reload time, though it was already at 5.1. What is going on here? Maybe we needed to move?
Awaiting
How about
orders.
now? Still 5.1. What the heck? Don't tell me that these guys' max reload rate is 5.1 rather than 4.0. I thought that was...
Ready.
Everybody is maxed out at 4.0. Huh. Well, I hope that's not the case, otherwise those points are completely wasted. Granted, it won't matter because you're really only having chariots and, you know, bolt throwers and stuff in your army.
Ready for action.
And maybe a couple of skycutters just because. But it would be still nonetheless disappointing. Anyway, since this particular handmaiden has little purpose in this army, we have to... I mean, other than providing the bonus reload, that may or may not matter now that I think about it. What We could go discreet through Diplomat of the Everqueen. Let's do this for now. Diplomatic relations with all factions, income from trade tariffs rather, and then go for discreet. And then if we need to reset you because we send you to another army, we'll just do so. Is it still 5.1? Yes, it is. Why, game? Why? Alright, go to the C Corps, please. And loot the carcass. And I would really love to auto-resolve it, but we'll do a quick little fight. Besides, I love watching the bolt rain, so go. Alright, here we go. This will be a real quick one. I just want to make sure that we pick up the island. Who knows? Who knows if there's a materials at sea in it? And I'd auto-resolve it, but for the presence of the Dark Elves, very, very close by. Anyway, gonna move up into position and then start our Reaper bolt throwing their bolts around in huge numbers at the enemy. The enemy does have an artillery piece, though I can't remember if it was a mortar or a carronade. It's a mortar, so not that big of a threat. And there we go. First of the bolts fly, and we're actually going to do the first few bolts as the regular bolts, not the multi-bolts, as the only units for now that we could have reached were the Depth Guard. And I want to knock a few of their models out, or at least dish out a little bit heavier damage to them in particular, being a threatening unit. As the enemy gets annoyed and sends more units towards us, we're going to let the rest of the bolts head their way. Oh, and I also point out that yes, our reload time is now down to 4 seconds, the minimum amount, so it is not in fact 5.1, so we are good. Alright, it actually means that any further upgrades, I believe we have some techs and stuff for the bolt throwers, will do absolutely nothing for us. And we can't use something like Hand of Glory to make them fire faster because they're firing as fast as they possibly can already. Which is kind of interesting, but almost bizarre by virtue of the fact that it's so easy to get, max reload. But I suppose it's actually a good thing, because again, otherwise the bolt throwers are rather lackluster artillery, but with max speed on their firing, that's a lot of bolts that you have to contend with at 400 range. And in this particular army, we're obviously using the piles of bolt throwers rather than the piles of range units, as in the archers and stuff, and they're frankly not that much more expensive anyway. So it works pretty well. In the meantime, we have gotten around the enemy army with our Tyrion chariots. Unfortunately, not yet exalted Tyrion chariots, and I'm very excited to have a few of those in our number for the frostbite that they will add, as it will make this army even stronger, preventing the enemy from A, catching the chariots, and B, getting closer to the artillery pieces. And they're gonna ride around, but can't close the distance as yet, because the zombie pirate gunnery mobs, especially with more powder active, are likely to do a lot of range damage if we get close enough for them to actually fire upon us. For now, though, looking pretty good. The enemy army is already starting to dwindle, or at the very least is pretty heavily beat up. A few of them are trying to hide in the forest, and thusly, we're going to move our Tyrion chariots over to this side to shatter them. Shadow them rather than shatter them. Well, shadow them, then shatter them. Delete the Nars motto. Anyway, the trees may block off some of our shots, but they will also block the enemy shots, and frankly, our chariots are more vulnerable to missile fire than the zombies are. Or at the very least, from the Tyrion chariots. The Tyrion chariots could easily snipe the enemy lord, but not with the amount of range units that the enemy has present nearby, A. And B, we can always target the enemy lord with a few single-shot bolt throwers instead. Like so, even as the multi-shots continue raining down on all of her summoned minions. And there we go, it looks like the enemy lord is just about out of the picture. Melting away, the zombie is exploding in every direction and only having crossed about half of the distance to get to us, with the sole exception of the depth guard, which are a little bit closer and have actually drawn close enough to take a few arrows from our Lothern Sea Guard. Just a few though, as the depth guard were already melting away. Pin-cushioned and out-artillery. To be honest, I still kind of resent the fact that the Vampire Coast has lackluster artillery. It's an artillery-based faction that has bad artillery. It's very strange. I mean, not bad artillery in the sense that their artillery, kind of like the High Elven artillery, is absolutely dirt cheap in the form of the mortars and the carronades. Just get piles of them if you want. But to compare to other factions, especially Game 3 factions with all the power creep that's going on, basically everybody that can artillerize out artilleries them. And I mean, to be fair, Game 1 factions like the Empire out-artillery them by a considerable amount, having access to the obnoxiously overpowered ever since the first game Hellstorm rocket batteries, and frankly, the Hellblaster volley gun is pretty overpowered as well. And frankly, the biggest piece of artillery, Queen Bess, is technically an Empire piece of artillery, so... yeah, there was a mod for those that didn't watch my previous Vampire Kills campaign that adds a unit called the Batwing Bombard, which is just so great. It launches, you know, bats strapped with them with munitions on them at the enemy, and it's just fantastic. It doesn't feel crazy overpowered, but it is much stronger than the regular mortar is. And then that mod also adds another sort of Wraith Storm carronade, like basically it adds a one tier up, like a tier 3 rather than tier 2 version of the mortar and the carronade, and they're both lovely. Anyway, a decisive victory for us. I just want more stuff for the Vampire Chaos, man. More of these sort of sea-based campaigns and stuff. Decisive victory, unsurprisingly. Nobody got close because the Eagle Claws tore them to shreds. And these are not yet the Exalted Eagle Claws, but they'll get there. You get pets, Eagle Claw. Alrighty, there we go. A little bit obnoxious, as artillery armies tend to be, but while I don't generally like to build 2 artillery-heavy armies for most factions, because of that same set of obnoxiousness, the Dark Elves and the High Elves are actually the exception to that, because their artillery is not all that good, and it kind of just replaces a unit of archers or a unit of, you know, one of the range units, essentially. So I don't feel as bad about it. Sure, they're much longer range, but yeah, I enjoy the Eagle Claw piles. Anyway, I guess we're taking the ransom captives once again. Like so, picking up the island. Also like so, and it's more money. No lost cargo, war materials, let's see. Even, yeah, just at least lost cargo, something, game, something, please. I feel like we've earned it. Anyway, you go into ambush stance. I don't know whether it'll function here, but we'll give it a shot. And you, well, actually we'll give it many shots. Anyway, we're gonna need names for these guys. Well, 4 of these guys. You 2 are probably gonna get replaced by Exalted variants, so I suppose we could keep the names. Anyway, I guess we're going for Chariot, which is Vanguard Master, yes? Tyrnok chariots are here. Yes. Vanguard Master it is. Alright. That's pretty much the only things that we need in this army. And again, keeping in mind that a bunch of this stuff is going to go away eventually. For now, we're still doing stuff. Diplo check. I do not believe I did one, and I think maybe we should have new trade agreements available. We did get just the one with Carcassonne. Not that I'm complaining. We're helping the Fey Enchantress survive. Whereas all the other Bretonnians in Bretonnia, other than Paravon, which is right beside the Widows, seem to be gone. But anyway, this will give us a solid 532 gold per turn. I'll take it. Well, let's see what else we got here. No Confederation with Tyrnok. Oh, you're luckiest, thank you, that Gilgallion took this instead of you. But I don't know. I'm still kind of annoyed by the fact that you would dare to set foot on Ulthuan without permission from the Phoenix King and attacked a Ulthuani kingdom. Anyway, we've got alliances potentially, and northern provinces, yeah, they're dead. They're down to 3 settlements, and yeah, Cathay is being overrun. And then they're gonna turn their eyes on the western provinces after Miaoying has fallen. Man, she has really not been doing very well in the... lately, in the same way that I guess Lewin has not been doing very well. I see Miaoying die pretty much all the time, as in every campaign. Wargrove of Woe. They're fighting the dwarfs, but yeah, they're disliked by the Kislev. I feel like they'll die, so I'm just gonna ignore them for now. Lotus Yakshi are fighting Stormraven and Sun Eaters. You know what? Let's do the alliance with Lotus Yakshi. We might be able to get something out of them. As in an alliance. And then access to Wood Elf units. We need some kind of Wood Elven ally. Nobody wants a defensive alliance of them. We could do the Sanyo clan, though I fear that they're probably not actually going to survive against the Cult of Tinsin. At least I doubt it. Oh, and they're fighting the Tomb Kings at the same time. Yeah, more likely than not, King Nekamaten is going to overrun all this. Wait, I thought Sons of Petra... Oh, right. If you use the LCCP, they get Kiritaman the Lich Lord, rather than this fella. But I figured in this campaign, the likelihood of us going down here wasn't all that big, plus there were some bugs and some issues with the previous version not having been updated to this or something like that. Anyway, not important. What is important is, do we try the Sanyo clan? I mean, I guess we do it for now, and then we'll see. Who knows, maybe they'll survive. We're not going to take their money just to try to keep them alive a little bit longer. If they survive, great. If they don't, well, that's unfortunate, but maybe we'll have enough time to gather up enough allegiance to get a few of their units. We want Umikaze. This is their capital. And Jet Lions and Jade Lions would probably work. In fact, the Jet Lions work real nicely with our White Lions. The whole black and white color scheme really does it for me. So, yeah. Anyway. Henarmar, you're fine as you are. Actually, do we have an ancillary, perhaps, that would increase our ambush capabilities? I still haven't decided who to give the War Standard the Corpse Surgeons to. Do Mareworms, I wonder, have... I wonder if Mareworms have regeneration. I'm gonna double check on that. The War Banners were supposed to go to Gate Guard, which is why they're not on anybody, but I guess temporarily we could give them to the Tyrannog Chariots. And just, you know... Oh, you don't have a Herald of Mathlan. Ah, I knew somebody didn't. Alrighty, Aeteinian Vintner, Creation Scout is better on heroes, generally speaking. Yeah, nothing that increases your ambush chance at the current time. Alright, well, it is what it is. Colin. You and Bellanair are going to have to trade troops. I would like to somehow try to keep you safe. Alright, go here this way. Is this Mysterious Island? It is. So Bellanair, you're actually free to pick this up real quick. March stands here. Coral and Borath can't move. Like so. And Fortified Grog, I guess? Doesn't really matter. Yeah, free Banner of Illyrian. Nice. Not for you, but nice. We will put the Curse of Cannibalism.
Chosen of
why are we being so cannibalistic? Maybe I really shouldn't have drawn the Sword of Cain. Anyway, Leonas, you go here. It amuses me tremendously. Anyway, Arathond, you, I believe, are going to land on Skilled. By the looks of it, you cannot do so in one round, eh? Be very close to doing so. Well, give it a try. Go here. And, ooh. Skilled looks pretty cool. I like how it's on a little plateau here. I really like that. Huh. And it's unique in that the other Norscan settlements don't look like that. I like it a lot. Good job, Skilled. Anyway, land, and yes, we are. Pyrrhic victory. Alright, so that means we will have to fight this. Also, Lathern Skycutters. You, Skycutter 1. And you shall be Sky Hunters. Like so. Alright, we'll fight this in a moment. We still have another blurb. And I want to see if there's anything else to do. Trillion. You still stealing tech, and Mazdamundi is coming up on the ancient city of Quintex. Can he take it? If he has just the one army, he might not be able to, but if he has another, he should. You are waiting for focused mind, so keep on stealing tech for as long as you can. We really could use more tech thief mages, and actually, frankly, with this having been constructed, we should now have access to mages. But we don't have the capacity for mages, damn you. Oh, come on. Alrighty. I'm tempted to get another handmaiden, though, just to keep them getting leveled. Although, at the same time, we'd need to or want to build a handmaiden somewhere where, or recruit the handmaiden somewhere where... You know what? You're switching. Let's do it here. Go into Rally Citizens Militia for the additional Huron Lord recruit rank +1. Then... Any more building. We are saving Lothern. We can continue building up this place, though. Isle of Wights or Citadel of Lead? Both are reasonably likely to get attacked. I'm going to say Isle of Wights to start, just because it has the docks. Let's also start collecting now. We'll start collecting income once this is tier 3. It's safer. Alright, and then Phoenix Gate we are once again going to be ignoring, because, yeah, it's insane the amount of money the game wants for that when it's basically not worth anything. You are still growing there, Marches of Kuran. We want you defensible, and we want to get up to tier 3 so we can get to Orlesi. Did I end up reading this blurb last time? I wanted to, but I did not, I believe. Alright, we will give this a read, hopefully, shortly. For now, though, speaking of blurbs, let's do blurb and then let's fight. And I immediately forgot what we were fighting. Oh, Marathon, yes. Alrighty, so what was the third blurb that we got? We had Journey into the Heavens, which I assume was the last one. By the looks of it, it is. Okay, the Remnants, Billionaire, the Wise, now you're fine. Curse of Cannibalism. This is gonna make me laugh every time now. Yeah, alright. Savan of Tiranoc was one of the few pupils of Kalidor the Great not to perish during the creation of the Great Vortex. It was he, more than any other, who ensured that Ulthuan's legacy of magic was not lost with Kalidor, for he undertook the tutelage of many students in the decades following his master's sacrifice. In time, Savan found Ulthuan to offer fewer and fewer challenges that matched his wisdom. Casting aside his duties as scholar, he traveled the world, seeking the lost treasures of the Old Ones, and communing with the ancient Slann of the southern jungles. Finally, he returned home to Ulthuan to undertake one last exploration. He would ascend the Inuli Mountains and seek the gods who lived upon the summits. When Savan finally returned, all who saw him were shocked to see that his hair, once jet black, was now white as snow. Worse, where his eyes had once been, there were now only scarred and empty sockets. Savan offered no explanation. Indeed, he never spoke thereafter. For the rest of his days, Savan never again attempted so much as a cantrip, and refused all attempts by others to learn of what had occurred beyond the clouds. Finally, after years haunted by terrible dreams, Savan climbed to the top of the tallest tower of his mansion and threw himself from its balcony. In his death, Savan left one last puzzle. Whilst many servants saw him fall, his body was never recovered or found. Whether he was rescued before death or his corpse taken after, and by whom, was never discovered. Thanks for letting us know, game. Anyway, I believe we're attacking now. And where are we attacking? I forgot after 2 seconds. Okay. Why am I like this? Arathond, you have 2 points into Bowmaster for the Sky Cutters. Let's put a couple points into Skymaster as well, just so it's even for your Eagles. And then the Mist Mage, you need to go into Mathland's Spite, and I'd love increased mobility, but we need to get the 2nd level of Nadrael's Shroud as fast as possible. For now, away we go.
Asuryan watches us from the heavens and sees our brilliant ranks of peerless warriors to victory!
Alrighty, here we go. Still a little bit odd to see Arathond in Sea Helm form, but I couldn't say no to the massive speed buff that this Sea Helm variant gives to our flyers. His is a flying army in this particular campaign, after all, or it will be at least once we send all the spearmen elsewhere. Anyway, we're gonna start off by just flying over the enemy army, and just to try to force the enemy range units effectively to back off from the protection of the melee units. Once they've backed off, the Eagles will come down upon them and start tearing them to shreds. Granted, our Eagles are still a little bit on the light armor side here, but eventually, with enough nobles and with enough upgrades and whatnot on them, I'm thinking we should be able to get the Eagles up to around 80 to 100 armor, which is going to make them very, very nasty, or at the very least nastier, because they're already pretty darn good. Anyway, the enemy closes the distance with our spearmen ranks. We don't actually really care if they survive in this army, because they're not going to be kept. Though, on the other hand, the Exalted Spears are going to be punted to a different army, so we do have to pay attention to that. They're going to have to do their best to hold the line against Marauder champions, who do outstats them in every single way here. But, you know, they're spears. That doesn't mean they can't hold against them, however. And oh wow, we got 17k HP on the Marauder Champions as well, huh? Yeah, good for them. Good for them. Nonetheless, so they are going to be held back, and the enemy's rear ranks are in trouble. We're not playing this very carefully, so rather than moving in blobs or mobbing enemies together, we just sent in our eagles to fight one-on-one, and some of them got fairly beat up for their trouble, though hopefully most of them won't have lost too many models and will recover some. Either way, they do still completely obliterate the enemy range units. In the meantime, we've actually had these two fighting for quite the while as Eataine engages the enemy lord. He's just waiting until he can get an eagle mount and, well, until he can get some nobles with eagle mounts as well in this army. And I still haven't decided whether to keep the Mist Mage on Eagleback or on a Sky Cutter or do one of each. We shall see. Either way, I don't know what this lord is doing. He might be getting confused by the Exalted Spears. I'm actually a little bit surprised that the Exalted Spears don't have cavalry bane on them. Although that's mostly a polearm thing, so... Anyway, with the enemy range line destroyed, our Lothern Skycutters are free to fire into the rear ranks of the enemy. Similar to units like Tyrion Chariots and Hawk Riders, these guys are actually fantastic at sniping single entities and lords, but I decided to mostly let Eataine continue his duel with this fella. But she doesn't seem to want to fight so much as to kill this one Exalted Spearman that has been plaguing him. There we go. Now, the fight between these two would continue if it wasn't for the fact that in the meantime, these spears have surrounded the last remaining unit, the Marauder Champions, and with the help of the Eagles and the Skycutters, have destroyed what remains. With that, the Norscan army breaks and the battle is ours. And since Eataine doesn't have the mount, we'll simply use the Skycutters to pincushion the fleeing enemy lord. There we go. And keep in mind, we'll also have the artillery Skycutters in this army as well, as soon as we can either build them or upgrade them. Lovely.
Give them a lesson.
Alrighty, there we go. Death comes on swift wings for Halarder Krakenbite, and by the looks of it, I guess these two will escape via the port, but I suppose it doesn't matter over much. Eataine gets his first victory, and a nice little duel with Mr. Haralder, who... Oh, right, I was wondering where he got the damage. It was the Frost Dragon scale that did the damage, as he had it, I would imagine, as it probably wasn't Barden here. Either way, lovely little fight, a little bit of damage on a couple of our eagles, and the Mist Mage almost got wrecked by that Skinwolf Werekin, but the Mist Mage is waiting for an eagle mount, so that makes sense. Occupy. And does the look of the look of the settlement changes when we get it? That's a shame. It was a really cool looking settlement. Oh well. Don't collect income for now. Delete the grazing meadows, as we've no purpose for them here. Free Eataine and Mintner as well. And why are we not healing here at all? Huh? That doesn't seem right. This is a green territory for us. Why are we not healing? You don't provide bonus healing. Let's actually just get Bloodreal Shroud to actually heal in battle, but... Odd. Local effects.
Protecting Ulthuan.
Enemy casualty or punishment rate minus 15 enemy fear-mongering. How dare you. Tremendously rude. Unfortunately for you, wait a moment.
Yes.
We can heal in the water. Not by much, but every little bit will count. Granted, it'll cost us a solid 500 gold to do it. Honestly, it's probably not worth the 5% or so healing. Anyway, we really need to get you a noble. Actually, crushing nobles would work now. Yeah, we need... Oh, we got another conscientious noble? Damn it, we need noble capacity. We need to build it somewhere. Every conscientious noble will help quite a bit. We have a capacity? Oh, I did the building already, didn't I? There's no further noble capacity. Maybe we should get rid of the estate and build the noble building here, but I wasn't... Oh, we already have it here. Damn it. Oh... Okay, well, we could build one here. We're not ready to build one in Kuhan. Maybe I should have foregone the stone walls and just built the noble capacity in Kankwata. It's not going to be that defensible. The Ohm stones don't provide anything extra. Alright, I'm just going to hope that we can still get that lord. Also, I do note that we have additional influence now, so we are free to get another patronage should we desire it. Catholic is great. I did want the Nagarethan one for briefly Bellinaire, although eventually Bellinaire should really take the Safari one. This doesn't provide our armies any particular buffs. Just want to see what other options we have here. The magic item drop chance for the assigned lord from the favor of the dragon lords isn't too bad. We've got the speed when riding a horse mount. Campaign movement range plus 30%. Wouldn't say no to that. Oh, actually, funnily enough, we can... Oh, right, there's the creation one. Yeah, I was gonna put Alistar into CHRACE. Alright, let's do this, I guess. Since it doesn't buff Warline Chariots, I'm gonna say it's Alistar's time to shine. 1, 2, 3. Alright, we do have a little bit of influence left, and our short victory buff, we could have gotten it ages ago, but we need to perform 8 more frickin' Champion of Ulthuan actions, and the only super useful one, or at the very least the only worthwhile one in the early game, where we're willing to spend influence on it, is that recruitment one, but we're not going to be recruiting for another, what, 2 turns? Well, I guess we'll... Yeah. There's the Oceanids, but we can get our first Swords Masters out of the Grand Repository for Bellinaire. And our first Lore Masters as well. Which we can't get yet, but we'll be able to very, very soon. I'm also excited to see what kind of traits they have. Alrighty, well, there's nothing to do there then, and in that light, I do believe we're ready to end the turn. We are besieging some stuff, but, well, aren't we always? I'm gonna hope that you're safe, both of you. You know what, you're in Lyonesse, right? I can't quite tell. I think you are. We could get you out of here, and, you know, just stay in Lyonesse in case we get attacked.
Prince of Ulthuan.
Oh, wow. Corel, you are healing in here.
Moving off.
Let's have you channel. You have no mana, and that ain't so great. Borath's mana doesn't matter, conversely. I think that's it. Okay. Outpost building upgrade, diplomacy we already checked this turn. Oh right, we have the ambush attempt here. Alright, fun turn. And I did send out that convoy, I'm pretty sure. I guess we're about to find out.
Well met.
Ruinous, which one, buddy? You want a military alliance? We'll probably do this. You are fighting the Wood Elves. Don't fight the Wood Elves. What are you doing, man? Really? The Dark Elves are right there, and you're going to fight the frickin' Heralds of Ariel. Ah, okay, you know what? We're gonna take the opportunity to buy the, buy a couple settlements from these guys before they just lose them to Eataine. What an idiot. I was gonna leave him and not confederate him. Now I'm not so sure. No, I'm glad we didn't do a military alliance with him as well. Then again, who are we to say who other elves are killing? Or other high elves are killing? Yeah. Especially with Tyrion at the helm. At the very questionable helm. But yeah, Order factions attacking each other, pretty par for the course. Alright, so your ambush didn't get foiled. What is this? Go into a trap. Oh. Not this time, I think. This army won't likely survive it. I mean, it might, but it depends. The lead belchers are useless in melee, while the range units are decent. I feel like this one I'm not risking, especially since it's the very start of this new convoy's journey. There's 5 more turns, and then it'll be basically non-viable. Rite of Sotek performed. Heshuatla Cult of Pleasure destroyed. Okay. Disciples of the Maw destroyed. Reichland and Nordland Confederation. I begins outpost construction. Isle of Wights, Albion, and Ohm Stones, and the Dark Crag. That would be Hag Grief. Marble stockpiles, always nice to have. The construction reductions. Now, we don't really care about awakening the ancient ones as yet, so I think we can switch back to hosts. Let's get cartridge ammunition. We're using a lot of chariots now, so I think we can start buffing them up. Ooh, devastating flanker for a Thilmar and Lion chariots, eh? There's also the... Oh, right. I wanted to get Forge Masters Evolve for the upkeep productions. Yeah, you know what? We'll start with this. There's good stuff here. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff everywhere. The other option would be to go here into this stuff, including hierarchical maneuver for the hero action cost chance and success chance. Or cost and action success chance.
I will inform.
Really what we need is more tech thieves, like a lot more tech thieves. And also what we really need... Hey, how dare you steal our technology, frickin' orcs?
Defender of the Everqueen.
Why did you suffer attrition? Recent event.
Your word.
Mutagenic energies. Tzeentch. Yeah, this is why you gotta destroy Tzeentch. And Skilled is being raided by Surtha Ek. Ah, the Ever-Chariot has come to pay us a visit. Will he stay or will he go? We'll find out in a bit. And what are you doing? And why do you have a million billion silver helms? I do find it amusing. Yeah, still can't collect income, but we can build the Ohm Stones, the very, very expensive Ohm Stones, as well as the harbor here and the Royal Garrison, plus the Gate Guard building. Yeah, it's going to be expensive to fortify Albion, but I do like to keep it as a fortified location, so we're just doing that. Alrighty, then, I believe I said somewhere I was going to build a noble thing. Where? I am drawing a blank, man. Alrighty, oh, of course. I was gonna get the fucking handmaiden, and she disappears. Well. That's unfortunate. That's tremendously unfortunate. Alright, well then we'll wait, because I don't see the need to spend the influence on that then. Alrighty, back to Tyrion then. Tyrion, go quickly to grab this mysterious island in march stance. Frickin' Eataine attacking these guys, man. Alright, Power of Rage, I guess. That sounds like it's up Tyrion's alley. Go here, grab this island, head towards Malekith. She didn't even try, really? Oh, she can't quite reach us. Huh. What we could do... Grab the Scythe Hag Grief, please. What we could do is attempt to bait them into it. Rank 11 on Sarah. We could get Sarah up to rank 12, which would probably be of some use. Same thing with Lorna. Although, funnily enough, it's better to get everybody... Wait, we don't have any archmages, do we? You know what, let's get you on field temporarily. You get the additional experience as well. Oh! -5 research rate. I don't like that at all. Let's get you on field. I just want to see something. Aha, so the prince and princesses, they have Merchant Lord. These guys do... What? Okay, that's just stupid. So the prince and princesses have a much better blue line, which has the Merchant Lord. Granted, it isn't much, but it's something. But I also notice that the archmages don't have Elven Scholar here, the thing that gives you bonus research rate. Really, the archmages, the ones that spend their entirely life as scholars, don't have Scholar. What do you do? Okay, whatever. That's tremendously bizarre. Anyway, you're gonna go out here. We're gonna have you channel. We're gonna still have you act as bait. Grab Inspiring Presence as well, so you can level the teensy bit faster, though we will replace you with a prince or princess, because we can get more mileage out of them later on. Marienburg. I'd love to head out here, but then we pick up a Nurgle Plague, and I don't like that. And this place... Oh, it can't defend itself. I want to pick up the Pale Sisters, but perhaps we're better off just sitting here for a bit. Although, again, you will... You know what? I'll think about it. Oh, wow, okay. Actually, I won't think... Well, I will think about it, but I won't think about it right now, because right now we're out of time. This is probably going to be a pretty good place to call it. So, I am going to call this particular episode here. Next time, we will complete the construction of the Grand Repository, get our first Swords Masters up and running, and maybe get ready to get that another sea army going with sea elementals and oceanids and other fun stuff. Plus I want to get, like I said, Belair doing stuff. He'll use a temporary force until we can send it off elsewhere as well. Then I do believe... the mutagenic energies bothered me. Maybe we could confederate Teclis? I don't know, I'll think about it. I just fear that he's not going to be able to take Kairos on, and either we spend like 10 turns traveling down there, although admittedly, Kidrill is going down there, just has to pass all these islands. I will think about that as well. Many things to think about. Do you think about stuff as well? Don't know why, but just do it. Anyway, don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, especially the threshold for another double episode if you're into that sort of thing. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.